I was 6 years old when they took me to a residential school. I remember the day walking toward that school with my mother, and it was a silent walk, and I was so afraid. 20 or 30 little kids herded into the showers, and then your body being painted in white liquid of some kind, your hair cropped and then doused in kerosene. And that was pretty traumatizing. The school held roughly 220 people, half boys, half girls, and we were segregated. If I was caught waving at my sister, there'd be a punishment for it. And so as a result of that segregation, I never really learned any social skills that young people should be learning as they grow up. From a religious and spiritual perspective, of course, the churches lobbied hard to convert Indigenous people, Aboriginal people. They said that we were heathen and pagan. They targeted language in those things we had learned through all of millennia to know where we came from, to know who we were, as something that had to be eliminated. Before
Well, why do Indigenous people want self-government? Or perhaps a more accurate question would be, why do Indigenous peoples want self-government back? That is to say that long before European colonialism or before imperialism washed up on the shores of America, Indigenous peoples had their own established political systems and institutions. They were, by every definition of the word, self-governing. The entirety of representation in the government for Aboriginal voices is reliant on 7 MPs, and in both cases it proves not to be enough. This leads us to the argument as to why reconciliation is only possible under self-determinism. It is only when Aboriginals have the majority of power in their communities can they fulfill the 94 calls to action to the best of their needs. The truth is that this pattern of debilitating and discriminatory paternalism that has characterized federal policy for the past 150 years must end.
The growth that we're experiencing here as a community, not waiting for somebody else to fix us, we'll fix ourselves.
There are two main concerns and contentions that arise in communities that are run by autonomous Indigenous governments. Firstly, with this disconnection from the federal government, yes, you may gain a sense of freedom, but you lose that legislative and funding power that the federal government has. The federal government now becomes heavily disincentivized to fund you because you have publicly disconnected yourself from them, and they're under less of an obligation to provide for your community. Secondly, for a century, Aboriginal communities have been confined to and relied on the Canadian government, and I think it'll be overwhelmingly difficult to suddenly be placed with this enormous amount of liberty that's inherent within self-determinism. I think that was a really good line that helped explain how Aboriginals have never had that sense of autonomy. The good news is that in the few cases in which self-governance has been tested, there have been some amazing results. Statistics have shown that there have been a 13.4% increase in employment in self-government communities. Now, some say self-determinism has the potential to be transformative for Canada, to bring to fruition such notions such as healing, hope, and togetherness, to offer restitution and to move forward to a more inclusive future for this country. While this can be true, self-governance isn't a one-step solution to relieving the systemic disenfranchisement that so many Indigenous people face. It's controversial, and there would be challenges, but it is a starting point for the conversation. A conversation built on the narrative that at least Aboriginal people will have a voice.